Hello, it's the 3rd of July. This is Renew Every Morning. I'm Paul Anderson-Walsh, and today in our latest little vignette in our Postcards from Grace, we're going to be thinking about a character that you know very, very well, a character by the name of Nicodemus, the seeker in the shadows, we're going to call him. And I like this story for all sorts of different reasons. Anyone who's done any work in John will know this story very well, of course, because it's the great verse, unless you're born again, you cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. So we all know who Nicodemus is. But I just wanted to touch on a few things that might just be helpful, because in these postcards of grace, what we're thinking about is we're thinking about how we come to consciousness, how we come to Christ. And for many people, there is a real stigma that we need to overcome, almost obstacles, if you like, that we need to overcome, things that we need to outrun to get us into that amazing place of Christ consciousness. And the story here is, and whenever it is told, it's told about Nicodemus, the man who came at night. It's so interesting. He's very rarely referenced as the teacher. He's hardly ever referenced as the Pharisee. He's hardly ever referenced as the council member of the Sanhedrin. But this is an important civic guy. This guy is important within the religious community of his day. But he has a nagging doubt. And I tell you, this is so interesting because I don't know about you, but I, for one, have had moments where I've been part of a system, and a system that I've really signed up for and signed into. And yet I've had doubts, and those doubts have begun to nag and get at me. But it's not that easy for me just to kind of run the gauntlet and risk running the gauntlet and doing that walk of shame, if you like, away from what I've kind of wedded myself towards something new, something different, but particularly when it caused so much controversy. And how many of us, my goodness gracious me, has had to make those leaps of faith. What a leap of faith it was for those of us who made that kind of chasm leap from Galatians 2:19 to Galatians 2:20. The no longer I but Christ leap. Oh, good gracious me! What a leap it was when we made that leap from unrighteousness into what we thought was the Christ, only to find out it was self-righteousness, and had to leap again. These things are very difficult. But Nicodemus, I think, represents the honest seeker. He really does represent people like you and I who are wanting to try and find something out. So the Bible says, no, look, he's the man who came to Jesus at night. Now, I don't think it's fair to kind of style him as a coward, because this is a pragmatist. This is someone who's caught on the horns of the mystery of something that he thinks is more than, versus the kind of method that he's invested in and a system that he's upholding in. He has status, remember. He has influence. He's got a reputation to protect. Though there's a lot at play for Nicodemus for him to make that leap. But nonetheless, something in him stirs. It doesn't leave him alone. It's a question he just can't shake. It's a whisper that he just can't silence. He was afraid, yes. He was afraid of being seen, yes. He was afraid of what other people would think, yes. Now let me just ask you, how many times in your life have you been held back? Maybe even this very day, you're being held back from something you suspect might be true, something might be deeper, something more mysterious, something more ignoble, something more wonderful than what you currently have, but yet you are afraid. Yet you are afraid of being seen. Yet you are afraid of what other people think. Well, let's watch Nicodemus, because he still comes. Oh, yes. Now, he comes at night. I recognize that. He attends to his chores in the day and does all his duties and does his good Pharisee work in the day. But then the night falls, and under the cover of night, he comes to visit Jesus. Now, Jesus didn't say, come back in the morning. Jesus doesn't say to him, come back in the glaring sunlight when everyone sees you so we can actually make sure you've got some skin in the game. He doesn't shame anybody. He welcomes him, and he welcomes him with revelation. And Jesus says three things that kind of freak him out. Totally freak him out. Now, imagine this coming into contact with total awareness. And total awareness says to you, you must be born again. And he says, what on earth are you talking about? How can a person enter back into his mother's womb? It's so far beyond anything he's ever understood. So far, because all he has is method, all he has is metrics, all he has is behavioural chart. But now he's being introduced into mystery. What? Yeah. Oh, and by the way, since your head's in a spin, let's just follow it up. The wind blows wherever it wills. What? The wind, what? Oh yes, and the Son of Man must be lifted up. Huh? Poor Nicodemus is completely shot to bits. He just has no clue. But he doesn't say much in that moment, but he carries the words. Do you remember Mary said she just kept those words in her heart? And Jesus says to him, you're the teacher of Israel? You don't understand this stuff? Okay, just sit with it. Now, what happened is, it seems that the word marinated. It seemed the word just worked in him and through him, in the silence, in the secret, in the shadow. Who's to say the next day he returns to his Pharisaic duties, he's not got ringing in his head, you must be born again, the wind blows wherever it wills, the Son of Man must be lifted up. This enigmatic stuff he's heard from Jesus, and now here's all this kind of cryptic stuff that he's trying to puzzle out. Now, but remember now, he comes to see Jesus, and it looks like he goes away unresolved. And you go, okay, well, what was that? But then we see him in John chapter 7, so this is 4 chapters later, and now he begins to speak for Jesus, and he doesn't speak loudly, but he speaks courageously, and this is very important, because do you know what, there's going to come a time for you and for me where we're going to be invited, we're going to have to speak up for what we know to be true. Now remember, he's still invested in his system, but now he speaks out very courageously on behalf of the Christ, and that is very powerful in John chapter 7. And then finally, what do we see? We see him coming to the cross. After Jesus has died, who comes forward? Nicodemus. He comes with Josephus, and they come together, and they bring the nard. And what is it he brings with him? He's no longer hiding now. He's totally no longer afraid. He is a completely upfront disciple, and he brings 75 pounds of burial spices, fit for a king. So he's able to say to himself, I am completely clear now. But what I think is really lovely about this, right, is I love the fact he does this at the burial rather than at Pentecost. Because at Pentecost you go, oh yeah, there he is, Jesus has come back from the dead, that's great. No, this is an altogether more interesting faith. He's actually heard it. He said, wait a minute, I must be born again. So he comes and he brings the ritual for him to honour and sanctify the moment of dying. But he knows very well that Christ is going to come back. He absolutely is clear about it. The man who came to Jesus at night now honours him in the light. And that's our story. He came to Christ. He spoke for Christ. And now he stands with Christ. There was evening and there was morning on the first day. And that cycle of redemption is how it works. There's evening, he comes at night, and there is morning, and he comes in that wonderful moment. And sometimes faith just needs time to marinate. That's just how it is. Sometimes it just needs to grow quietly. Sometimes it needs a minute just to find its voice. But grace is patient. It meets us in the shadows. It walks with us until we're ready to stand. And when the time comes, it gives us the courage to step onto the stage and into the light. That's the grace of Nicodemus. And it's grace for you and for me too. So may you be renewed, may you be encouraged, and may you and I know what it is to have the boldness of Nicodemus. And will we remember, please, that the wind blows wherever it will, and that we would just embrace that wind-swept life, knowing that it always blows us and sweeps us on to glory. God bless you. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.